5-round fight for the honor of becoming the Ultimate Fighter. Penchant, and it's all over!
In the world of mixed martial arts,
And, you know, oh my goodness!
Split decision, Tony Ferguson.
MMA, there are fighters who follow a traditional path to success. Climbing the ranks steadily and earning their way to the top. Then, there are the outliers, the fighters who break the mold, fight with unpredictability, and carve their own path to fame and fortune. Tony Ferguson is undoubtedly one of MMA's most unpredictable and thrilling fighters, known for his wild, unorthodox style, his passion for the sport, and his rise from obscurity to the top of the lightweight division. However, with all his talent and accomplishments, Ferguson's career has been marked by both glorious victories and devastating defeats. His story is one of unparalleled highs and heartbreaking lows, a testament to the fleeting nature of MMA greatness.
When you're hurt, how do you feel? You lay down, right? You take a second, you go, you take your vitamins, do your thing. When I'm hurt, I love it.
The rise of Tony Ferguson. Tony Ferguson's journey to MMA superstardom is as unconventional as his fighting style. Born on February 12, 1984, in Ojai, California, Ferguson's early years didn't suggest he would become one of the most talented and unpredictable fighters in the UFC's history. His initial exposure to combat sports came from his interest in wrestling, a sport he picked up in high school. Ferguson's natural athleticism and tenacity made him a formidable opponent, but he didn't immediately make waves in the wrestling world. Instead, it was his introduction to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu that would set the stage for his MMA career. Ferguson's aggressive mindset, coupled with his hunger to prove himself, caught the attention of MMA promotions. He eventually earned a spot on The Ultimate Fighter (TUF) in 2011, where he was introduced to a wider audience. The show served as a platform for Ferguson to showcase his skills and his relentless attitude. Unorthodox style and unpredictable brilliance. What set Tony Ferguson apart from most other fighters in the UFC was his distinctive, unpredictable fighting style. While many fighters rely on a few tried and true techniques to secure victory, Ferguson's approach was like no one else's. His fighting style was often described as chaotic, yet highly effective. He would throw punches at strange angles, with elbows and knees coming from places where they weren't expected, often leaving his opponents baffled and vulnerable. But it wasn't just his striking that earned him praise. Ferguson's grappling was equally dangerous. Ferguson's unique style earned him the nickname El Cucuy, a reference to a Mexican mythical creature known for being both terrifying and elusive.
Champion of the world, Tony El Cucuy Ferguson.
Ferguson lived up to the name inside the cage, constantly staying one step ahead of his opponents with unpredictable movements and techniques, climbing the lightweight rankings. During his rise to the top, Ferguson defeated a who's who of UFC fighters, including names like Josh Thompson, Rafael dos Anjos, and Edson Barboza. His victory over Barboza in 2015 was one of the most impressive performances of his career, where he dominated the highly ranked Brazilian with an aggressive and unrelenting pace. Ferguson's combination of cardio, movement, and heart was unparalleled, and it was this style that made him a nightmare for any opponent. Ferguson's dominance eventually earned him a shot at the UFC Lightweight Championship in 2017, after he defeated Kevin Lee for the interim title in an absolute war that showcased his resilience and determination. The fight against Lee was one of Ferguson's most iconic performances, where he proved that he could hang with the best of the best and still come out on top. Ferguson was poised to fight the reigning lightweight champion Khabib Nurmagomedov in what would have been one of the most anticipated fights in UFC history. Fans and analysts alike believed this to be the fight that would crown the true champion of the lightweight division. However, this was the point where Ferguson's story began to take a dark turn. The fall, injuries, and missed opportunities. As is often the case in the unpredictable world of MMA, Tony Ferguson's career would soon take a tragic turn. After winning the interim title, Ferguson was set to fight Khabib Nurmagomedov for the undisputed lightweight title at UFC 223 in 2018. This was a fight that fans had waited for, a clash between two of the most dominant fighters in the lightweight division. However, tragedy struck. Just days before the fight, Ferguson suffered a knee injury that forced him to withdraw from the bout. The fight that had seemed like a natural conclusion to his journey was now delayed indefinitely. As Ferguson rehabbed his injury, the UFC moved forward with a new lightweight championship fight between Khabib and Al Iaquinta, which Khabib won, further delayed. What followed were more injuries, missed opportunities, and frustrations. Ferguson's knee surgery was just the beginning of a series of physical setbacks that would prevent him from competing at the highest level. Despite his injuries, Ferguson continued to train and prepared for his eventual return to the cage. But when he finally returned in 2020, it was clear that things had changed. Ferguson's downfall and struggles. In 2020, Ferguson faced Justin Gaethje for the interim lightweight title in a highly anticipated matchup. The fight, however, turned into a nightmare for Ferguson. Gaethje, known for his explosive striking and relentless pressure, absolutely dismantled Ferguson over 5 rounds. Ferguson's usually unpredictable and elusive style was no match for Gaethje's methodical and powerful attack. The loss was devastating, not just because of the magnitude of the defeat, but because it showed the cracks in Ferguson's once unbeaten game. After the loss to Gaethje, Ferguson continued to struggle. In his next fight, he faced Charles Oliveira, a fighter who was on a tier in the lightweight division. Ferguson was once again outclassed, losing by decision in a one-sided affair. His unorthodox style, which had once served him so well, now seemed to be his undoing against newer, more refined fighters. After his third consecutive loss to Beneil Dariush in 2021, Ferguson's fall from grace was complete. The man who had once been considered one of the most dangerous fighters in MMA now seemed like a shadow of his former self, a fighter who defined a generation. Despite his recent struggles, Tony Ferguson's legacy in MMA is secure. His 12-fight win streak, his unique fighting style, and his heart and determination inside the cage have earned him a permanent place in MMA history. Ferguson was one of the most exciting and unpredictable fighters the sport has ever seen, and his contribution to the sport cannot be overstated. Ferguson's story is a cautionary tale in many ways. He showed the world what it means to be relentless, to fight for every opportunity, and to be willing to take risks in order to carve your own path. But it also serves as a reminder that, in MMA, nothing is ever guaranteed. Injuries, bad luck, and the rise of new challengers can change the course of a fighter's career in an instant. As we reflect on the rise and fall of Tony Ferguson, we cannot ignore the impact he had on the sport. He was a true wild card, a fighter who kept fans on the edge of their seats, unsure of what would happen next. Though his career may have ended in disappointment, Ferguson's legacy will live on in the memories of those who watched him take on all comers, no matter the odds. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the rise and fall of Tony Ferguson, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more content about MMA's greatest fighters and unforgettable moments.